ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have lots to get to as we welcome you aboard the Tuesday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. In just a few minutes, we will be joined by our first guest, and it'll be Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, to talk about the news, which is breaking as we go. Every minute, another piece of news breaks relating to Syria. The latest is the president wants the Senate to delay the vote on use of force regarding Syria. Syria says it's ready to disclose the locations of its chemical weapons, halt production, open facilities, and they want to join the International Weapons Convention on Chemical Weapons. So all that is happening. We will get to Senator Lee momentarily, and we're going to talk about this at length. We're also going to be joined at the bottom of the hour, exclusive interview with the mother of hero Sean Smith, one of the 4 Americans killed in Benghazi a year ago. She will be here exclusively, Patricia Smith, to tell us what's happening in her quest to get answers about what happened to her son. So don't miss this hour. And, of course, your call is 855-777-9660. But yesterday we told you a story. Near the end of the show, and news was breaking, but I saved it till the end. I wanted to get the story straight. George Zimmerman had waved a gun on his wife, beat up his wife's father. Police came. He was in custody. Well, none of that really happened that way, even though George Zimmerman's wife made a 911 call, and turns out it could be that a lot of it was erroneous, and she may be charged for making an erroneous 911 call. Let's get the report here. Let's listen to cut number 34.
Continually has his hand on his gun, and he keeps saying, step closer. He's just threatening all of us.
Tonight, Lake Mary police are blowing holes in Shelley Zimmerman's story that her estranged husband, George Zimmerman, threatened her and her father at gunpoint inside this home this afternoon.
We did not find a gun, did not locate a weapon. Nobody ever saw a gun. A gun is not part of this story.
Okay, so there goes the gun part of the story. That was a police officer from Lake Mary. By the way, this is ABC Action News down there in Lake Mary, Florida. Let's go to cut number 35.
Police were called to this home on Sprucewood Road a little after 2 p.m.
He accosted my father and then took my iPad out of my hand and smashed it and cut it with a pocket knife. I don't know what he's capable of. I'm really scared.
Detained by police, Zimmerman was never charged, and officers say they never found a scratch on Shelley's father.
All parties are saying each other started it.
Zimmerman's attorney, Mark O'Mara, spoke on his client's behalf and explained what happened today stemmed from Shelley Zimmerman filing for divorce last week.
Silly stuff like pots and pans and dishes gets so emotionalized that it overflows, and that's really what happened here.
Okay, no gun, no marks on the father of Zimmerman's father-in-law. Both were claimed by the wife, the estranged wife of Zimmerman, in the 911 call. No gun, no marks on the father. Cut 36.
Attention that came off of what police are calling an assumption on Shelley Zimmerman's behalf. Tonight, she gave a statement to police saying she never saw a gun and just assumed her estranged husband had one.
This could have been way overblown from the beginning just by what she thought she saw.
Could have been.
Okay. So what she did was she profiled her estranged husband. She just assumed, she says, that he had a gun. Yet she said on the 911 tape that he was waving the gun. Right? And he beat up her father. Father wasn't beaten up. No gun. Charges are still could still come. They have to investigate further. But let me give some advice to Shelley Zimmerman. When you assume, as I learned from an Odd Couple episode, you make an ass of you and me. There you go. All right, folks, we're going to come back now. with Senator Mike Lee on Syria. Don't miss it right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And now we're hearing news that Russia has a plan, a solution perhaps, which would allow Syria to take all of its weapons and put it under international control. Is that something that you've had any conversations at all with President Putin about when you were in St. Petersburg last week?
I did have those conversations, and this is a continuation of conversations I've had with President Putin for quite some time.
You have it. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. That was President Obama yesterday, interviewed on PBS by Gwen Ifill, and he was claiming credit. He said that he had talked about this with Vladimir Putin, this idea that Syria would hand over its chemical weapons for quite some time. Today, John Kerry said that he, quote, I had some conversations about this with my counterpart from Russia last week. Joining us now to talk about all of this and all the news that's breaking as we speak is Senator Mike Lee, Republican, Utah. Senator, good to talk to you again, sir.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Before we get to who's claiming credit and how for this these events that have unfolded within the past 24 hours, let's ask you about some of the events. First of all, the president now says he wants to delay the vote in the Senate on the use of force to await the outcome, I guess, of how things proceed with Russia and Syria and this new proposal. What's your take on that?
Well, my take on that is, first and foremost, it's always better if we can avoid military intervention in the Syrian civil war. And I hope that that is the reason why he wants to do it, because it would be better not to attack and better not to thereby entangle ourselves in a really protracted, bloody, complicated civil war. I think it also might tell us that they are virtually certain that they don't have the votes, either in the Senate or in the House, to authorize the use of military force by the United States in Syria, and that's very significant.
Now, yeah, and of course, Harry Reid postponed that vote yesterday before the president made this public call for the postponement, so that probably Reid knows you probably don't have the votes as well. Agreed?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think they would have postponed it, but for their fairly certain knowledge that they didn't have the votes to pass it, and they didn't want to take the president through the embarrassment of having requested that authorization and then not being able to get it.
All right, Senator, what do you make of this this accidental? I mean, if Kerry wants credit, he certainly he didn't bring up this proposal. He didn't stand there and say Syria could avoid the strike by handing over their chemical weapons, opening them up, transferring them to the international community. In fact, he was asked a question. He made that statement and said, but it's impossible. It can't happen. And now all of a sudden, I've talked about that with my Russian counterpart weeks ago, and Obama talked about it with Putin. Does that pass the smell test?
Well, I don't know. You know, I wasn't there in his conversations a few weeks ago. I have no way of proving or disproving when he might have first had those discussions with his counterparts in other countries. What I do know is that the President and the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense, among others, have failed to make the case to me and to most Americans that we have any business going to war in Syria, that we have any business entangling ourselves in a really complicated civil war, the outcome of which is very unknown, and the outcome of which could well be affected by U.S. military intervention in that war, and perhaps in a way that would end up being very contrary to our interests.
We have a minute left. What do you make of Syria saying they want to disclose the locations of their weapons, halt production, open facilities, and join the International Weapons Convention on Chemical Weapons?
Well, the fact that they've said that is perhaps an indication that they don't want an attack. I suspect that the White House might well say, see, you know, this is the product of our threat. Regardless of why they're doing this, if they end up doing it, I think that's a great thing. I would add as a word of caution, though, that it would be a really difficult thing to ensure and to verify that all of their chemical weapons had in fact been accounted for and were on a path toward destruction. But that said, if it helps us avoid this war, that'd be fantastic, and I'd love to see it. I want to see a proposal.
Do you agree with Kerry? I'm sorry. Do you agree with Kerry when he said at the end of his statement yesterday, but it's almost impossible to get done?
Well, I agree with Secretary Kerry that this would be a very difficult task. That is not to say that it would be impossible, but it would be very difficult, and that's why we need to see more details before we can get too excited about it.
Senator, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. That's Senator Mike Lee, Republican, Utah, who had a very strict time frame, and I think we got a lot in. And, yeah, I mean, this is, look, what bothers me here, and you know I'm against the bombing. We don't have any business bombing Syria, in my view. I'd love to know what you think. We have about better part of 10 minutes left if you want to weigh in and take some, give us your thoughts. Love to hear from you on the Steve Malzberg Show. As always, I get all choked up when I talk about hearing from you. That and eating nuts during the break. 855-777-9660, 9660. And I remind you, at the bottom of this hour, we'll be joined by Patricia Smith, the mother of Sean Smith, who was slain in Benghazi, along with 3 other Americans, including our ambassador to Libya just a year ago tomorrow on 9/11. But I want to know from you, do you trust Syria? Do you trust Syria and Russia? I mean, like I said, I'm against bombing Syria. We have no business, in my view, bombing Syria at all. I mean, if we want to run the risk of retaliation against our bases, our ships in the sea, Israel, our shopping malls, God forbid, and pizza places and facilities here in the U.S., if Hezbollah is unleashed in this country, if we want to run that risk, I think we should run that risk by bombing Iran and doing some real good for the world, taking away the nuclear threat or severely diminishing the nuclear threat of Iran, not worrying about a civil war in Syria. I just don't get that. And you want to attack Iran, let Israel attack Iran. Or let the U.S. and Israel jointly attack Iran. Go after Iran. And then let the chips fall where they may. But don't let the same chips possibly fall where they may because you feel we need to get involved in a civil war in Syria. Now, interestingly enough, the president had some things to say. He did 5 interviews yesterday, I believe. We have cuts from a couple of them. But I want you to listen to this. Where exactly did he say this? He was talking about, okay. What about retaliation? What about the retaliation I'm talking about possibly from Iran against Israel, against our interests, against Jordan, against Saudi Arabia, or unleashing Hezbollah here in the United States? What about Iran and Hezbollah reacting against us and our allies in the event that we bomb Syria? And here's what the president had to say to Gwen Ifill on PBS. I'm sorry, this will be 27, guys, 27. I'm hoping I picked the right cut here. Give a listen to this analogy or this response to that question. Here it is.
His allies do, though, Iran, Hezbollah. They could carry out asymmetrical attacks against our embassies, for example, in the region. But we don't actually think that they want to do something like that. Keep in mind that Iran was the country probably last subjected to large-scale chemical weapons used by Saddam Hussein. So there's a real aversion to chemical weapons inside of Iran. I don't think either Iran or Hezbollah thought that what Assad did was a good idea. And for us to take a limited, proportional, although significant strike on Assad's capabilities to degrade them, I don't think would prompt them to get involved.
Do you understand what the President of the United States just said? Or said yesterday, and you just heard it? This might be one of the most naive things I've ever heard out of the mouth of a President of the United States. And this man, there's a laundry list. What he just said, let me break it down for you, was he was asked, could Syria retaliate and hurt the United States? And he said, no, their allies can. Hezbollah and Iran. Iran controls Hezbollah to a great degree. What the president just said was, I don't think they'll do it. Why? Because Iran has felt the wrath of chemical weapons in their own country. Okay. And probably they don't think what Assad did, if he did it, was such a good idea. So, basically what he's saying is, I'm counting on the humanity of the Ayatollahs in Iran who have already threatened to retaliate against Israel and if this happens, and the humanity of Hezbollah, a recognized terrorist organization that kills innocent women and children on purpose. I don't think they'll do it because, they agree with me that this wasn't a smart thing for Assad to do. So I'm putting my bets on Iran and Hezbollah. That's what he's saying. Is that not mind-boggling? When I heard this, I said, let me play it again, and let me play it again. And I'm really surprised. I got to admit, I don't get to listen to talk radio except in the ride home in the car and coming in a little bit. Coming in, nobody talked about this. There were three talk stations in the area. No, bottom line is, I'm the only one I heard talk about this so far. the issue of retaliation against the United States or our allies is a huge issue. It's a huge consideration for the people who are going to vote on this if they get to vote on it in the Senate and the House. They've talked about it. They've talked about fearing it. They've talked about what it could unleash. But Barack Obama says, Hezbollah and Iran, they could do some damage. Yeah, but I don't think they will. No. Because, they're really not bad people. And they saw what this evil Assad did with chemical weapons. Yeah, some of them have been victimized by it themselves, and they don't think it was a smart thing. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to do it. Are you kidding me? Iran and Hezbollah? You have confidence in them? That they're not going to retaliate against us or our allies? Because why? Because you said so? Because maybe you've been on the phone with the Ayatollahs and the leaders of the terrorist group Hezbollah. For all I know, I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the phone with them. But this is a man who has confidence in everybody. Everybody. He loves. Yeah. Mubarak was evil and had to go. Gaddafi was evil and had to go. And don't get me wrong, I was no fans of theirs. Look what happened in both those countries. Look at Libya right now. They won't let us get near the people who killed our people in Benghazi. Syria, one day they're having dinner with Assad. Next day, he's evil and he's got to go. But who's got humanity and compassion? And I don't think they'll do anything to us. Hezbollah and the Ayatollahs in Iran. You figure that one out. It is, as Obama likes to say when asked about when life begins, above my pay grade. When we come back, an exclusive interview with the mother of Sean Smith, who died in Benghazi. Don't miss it on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And joining us right now, I'm very honored to say, is Patricia Smith. Patricia is the mother of Sean Smith, a hero who died on September 11th, 2012 in Benghazi, one of the 4 Americans. And Patricia, welcome and thank you for sharing with us.
Okay, thank you.
All right. It's now been a year. Tell me what's going through your mind. Tell me what you want to say to the American public, to the president, to the people who are listening right now, a year after the death of your son.
On the day of the ceremony, when they brought the caskets in from Benghazi, I was there, and I spoke to President Obama, to Hillary, and to many, many, many other people higher up in the organization, from Panetta to Biden and all the others. I begged them, every one of them, if I could please find out what happened. I just need to know for closure. Every one of them told me, we will check it and get back to you. And what they did tell me was because of the video. And from that moment on, they have said nothing else to me. They never called me. They never got in touch with me. They only told me that I was not an immediate part of the family.
That you were not an immediate part of whose family?
Sean's.
You're his mother.
No kidding.
So they've told you that since, and I think you might be referring to the ceremony that was in honor of your son that you were not invited to, not flown to, but I want to get to that in a second. But that aside, so you've got no communications from any of the aforementioned, from the president on down, including Hillary, Biden, and everyone else. No one has gotten in touch with you. No one has explained. There's been no update as to what they believe has happened. As far as you're concerned, if you never listened to the news, if you only went by what they have told you so far, you would still think it was the video, the anti-Muslim video, correct?
Oh, that's correct. But I had to find that on my own. That's what's killing me. Why couldn't they tell me? I had to read every article, listen to every political blast that everybody gave out, and I had to find it all out on my own. So I think I know what happened. I think I know. But I think that our country should have the guts to tell you what it is instead of hiding behind everything and running for president.
What is it, Patricia, that did you believe you know something that most of us don't? Do you believe you know what really happened and the reason why they might not be telling us?
No, I don't know any of the reasons. I can't prove a thing that I know, that I do think I know. But I've put 2 and 2 together, and I've had an awful lot of 2s to put together, which I did. And I Basically, no. I can't tell you anything specifically. I do know that they did not have enough security there. It was begged for, it was asked for many times over, and it was refused. I don't know why it was refused. I would like to know that very much.
Now, your son told you that?
Oh, yes, he did. He did. He called me up on the phone, or I called him, or one of us called the other. I did keep in touch with him. And he says, Mom, he says, I'm scared. I saw people taking pictures out here from, I don't know, what's it called, the February something or other, some kind of motive. They were supposed to be security guards, but they were outside taking pictures instead. And so he says that it was reported, and they had asked for security guards there, and no security was sent. And my main thing for all of this is I want our people to be safe. If they go into dangerous places, okay, they go into dangerous places. I could understand that. But for God's sakes, why not give them security? Even people going out in the rain like Obama, he needs security, he gets his umbrella. We get nothing. Our guys get murdered out there. They get thrown to the dogs. Oh, I'm sorry for going on this
No. We're talking to Patricia Smith. You have no reason to apologize for anything. We're talking to Patricia Smith, the mother of Sean Smith, who died back on And 9/11 in Benghazi a year ago. We're a year further. It's the 1-year anniversary. You know, earlier we talked with other people who talked about the terrorist attacks on 9/11. That was 12 years ago. I know this can't be easy for you at all, but I want to ask you, do you think America has forgotten? Do you think the media has forgotten? Here we are, and of course we're talking about Syria, and will we go, and will we would not go, and you know, there's very little talk, except for a few people like Congressman Wolf and others, about Benghazi. Even John Kerry on several occasions now has mocked Benghazi when congressmen at hearings have tried to bring it up.
You're telling me this?
No, I know you know. I just want to know what goes through your mind on this 1-year anniversary.
Look, my son, knowing him as I think I did, would, even knowing what would happen, I think he would still have gone and done it, even knowing in advance what could happen. In fact, I believe that they all know what could happen. I think that he could go. I just think my government should protect them. All I'm asking for is, for God's sakes, take care of them. Give them an umbrella. Do something. And then Glenn and Ty would not have been killed if somebody even bothered sending some security after them. Even they were hours later they got killed.
Right, you're talking about the two who came to help. Absolutely. Let me ask you, Patricia. You've talked about, you know, Hillary if she runs for president. Do you think she's gonna skate free on this issue?
I hope not. I'm sitting here asking everybody that could possibly hear my voice, don't let that woman be president. She does not make good decisions. I don't think that she would make good decisions in the future, and she hides. She doesn't stand up for what she does. Don't let her be president.
Have you talked to any of the other parents of any of the other victims of Benghazi?
No, not really.
Okay.
There was a couple brief hello type of things, but that was it.
Just talk about I think it was back in June, if I'm not mistaken. Early June. You were trying to get to a ceremony honoring your son, and the White House and the government would not acknowledge you because they said, as you alluded to earlier, that you weren't family.
I was not part of the immediate family, and that's kind of interesting. It had, the media finally came through. Sean Hannity bought my airplane ticket so that I could go. Even though they told me about the ceremony that was going to come up and that they would send for me, they told me that at the coffin ceremony when the coffins came in. So then they tell me, and by the way, I do have this in writing where they told me I was not part of the immediate family. That came from the State Department.
It is incredible. Patricia, I got to say, you have nothing but our condolences, our sympathies. Our heart goes out to you. Again, how would you want us to remember your son? Because I do want to talk about him here on the 1-year anniversary of his death. What should we know about the bravery of your son, Sean Smith?
I'd like everybody to think of him as I do, with a big smile on his face. That's it.
Okay, that's a fine way to do it. That's a fine way to do it. Patricia, I thank you. I thank you very much. Do you think we'll get any answers? Do you think we'll ever get answers to this?
Someday, in some way, I hope to.
All right. God bless you, Patricia. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on this hard time for you and for America.
Thank you very much.
All right, Patricia Smith, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. Say again.
Don't forget Benghazi until we get some answers here and some safety for the people that are out there. I'm so afraid of our people going to get killed because nobody in Washington cares about their safety.
You just made your voice clear and heard, and I thank you for that, Patricia. Thank you very much. We will not forget Benghazi, and we will not forget your son and the others, Sean Smith and the others who died on 9/11/2012. A very caring, loving, emotional mother who has been treated like garbage by our government, from the president on down. You heard the same story from the father of one of the slain 9/11 heroes in Benghazi, who said at the ceremony when the bodies came home, Hillary whispered in his ear, "We're going to get the guy who made the video." The video. I don't know how much he's heard since then, but Patricia Smith has heard nothing. Nothing. But don't worry. Barack Obama is on the case. All right, folks. 855-777-9660. I'd love for you to weigh in on this. We're coming back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Very riveting interview with Patricia Smith. She has just been treated, like I said earlier, like garbage by our own government. Her son died defending his nation in Benghazi, and nothing's been done. In fact, the latest reports I've heard, and these have been going on for some time, as far as the mastermind, we know who the mastermind is. We know where the mastermind is. The New York Times has spoken to the mastermind. The CNN has done an interview with the mastermind, but our FBI, our people can't get to him. By the way, why is the FBI doing this? They won't let us. The Libyan government will not let us get this guy. That's right, the Libyan government, the ones we put in power, our friends, the nice guys. They will not let us get this guy. So why don't we just take a rocket and go psh and get him that way? Why is this an FBI case? Why is Benghazi treated like a guy who robbed a bank? Why have we reverted back to the Clinton era on how we fight terrorism? Anyway, let's get to a phone call or two. You want to talk about that? You want to talk about Syria? Russia has now become the great peacemaker. I mean, Kerry and Obama could claim, even they say they were talking to their counterparts, to Putin and to Secretary of State Kerry's counterpart, about this turning over the Syrian chemical weapons to the international community. Well, now Russia has, Kerry said it couldn't be done yesterday. Said it's impossible. And Russia said, whoa, 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 whoa. Syria said, whoa, 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 whoa. And now Russia, we're relying on Russia to do this, basically. Let's get to the phones. You want to weigh in on this? 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. Coming up at the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen, we will be joined by Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons of KISS. That's right. They will be here and talking about the founding of the group, the early years. And, Gene Simmons is he's politically motivated. He was born in Israel. Maybe we'll get him to weigh in on the Syrian situation, if I could weave it in. Bob and weave it in. All right, let's get to the phones. Let's say hello to David down in Georgia. Hello, David. You're on the Steve Malzberg Show. Thanks for weighing in, sir.
Anytime. Thank you.
Where are you listening to the show, sir?
I'm really not sure.
Are you listening on the radio?
Yes.
All right. So you're listening to WCFO, correct?
What's the number on that?
That would be 11:30, News Talk 11:30, if I'm not got it on top. Okay.
But this help me on the bear traps is the big thing I want
to. Say again?
Sorry.
All right, go ahead. What can I do for you?
Well, I tell you, I don't think people are looking at things from Assad's perspective. I think there's kind of a broad brush of everyone in the Middle East is a fanatic. I think Assad is an amoral, pragmatic dictator, and as long as he's got deniability, he wouldn't mind striking back at the U.S. if we do some bombing, but he also wants to, above all else, preserve himself and his position in power. So he's not going to just light up the entire Middle East if he can avoid it, but that does not mean that he will not take deliberate actions that will provoke third parties to do something else that he doesn't anticipate. I think you probably see Hezbollah do some stuff, but I doubt you would see the Syrian armed forces actually take direct actions against
No. Yeah, right. It's not the Syrian armed forces that I believe would retaliate, unless, of course, they could somehow. They'd be under attack, and they'd probably be depleted to a great extent. But we've already heard warnings from Iran, that all bets are off if Syria is attacked, and they'll hold the U.S. responsible, and they're going to go after Israel first. They've said it. Now, I would not let that stop me normally if this was in our national interest or our security interest or any interest, but it's not. So why risk it for that? Why not risk all that retaliation to Israel, to our neighbor, to our other allies in the region, and to our own country by going after the root of all evil, and that's Iran?
Well, I think it's ironic that I recall when Iraq used poison gas, and there was an outcry, but there were no Democrats, no Republicans saying we're supposed to do some sort of unilateral action against them, and there wasn't. So what's the difference between the 80s when Iraq did it and 2013 when Syria's done it?
Because Barack Obama has a personal interest, for whatever reason, to put the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda in charge wherever he can. Now, I don't know the reason. We could try to speculate. We could come up with theories, and we could come up with hypotheses, and we could talk about it. And I've come up with a few of my own, and I discussed some of it with Andy McCarthy yesterday. And I don't know the reason, but if you look around the region, he's taken allies who have been American allies, not good people, but American allies in the interest of our national security, in the interest of Israel's national security, and he's all of a sudden said, well, they got to go.
Well, I think I have a theory here. There's a piece of video from very early in his presidency, maybe even predating his actual taking the office. He said that because he'd been raised with Muslims, that when he took office, the attitude of Muslim nations would change due to his taking office.
Well, that was, I think, the speech he gave in Egypt once he became president, if I'm not mistaken, his first trip abroad and his first major speech.
And to me, that is incredibly naive, even magical thinking. Just because the leader changes, that does not alter the geopolitical reality in a region. That's really positive thinking, but it's going down the road where there is no road.
No, I hear you. Hey, listen, I really appreciate the call, David. Thank you very much. Spread the word about the show. Thank you. It seems like every day we have one of these stories, folks, and I want to end the hour with this, if I can. A Florida ministry that feeds the poor. They feed the poor. Said a state agriculture department official told them they would not be allowed to receive USDA funds, or food, I should say, unless they remove portraits of Christ and the 10 Commandments and a banner that read, Jesus is Lord, and stopped giving Bibles to the needy. Are you following me? Are you following me? They told us they could no longer allow us to have any religious information where the USDA food is going to be, according to the executive director of the Christian Service Center. Folks, I'd like to say that this surprises me. I'd like to say that this is shocking. It's not. It's not. Here you have a religious organization distributing food to the poor. And because they're a religious organization, they have up in their building the 10 Commandments, a picture of Jesus, and a sign that says, Jesus is Lord. What would you expect them to have up there? Pictures of Mickey Mantle? Barry Bonds? And as long as they have those, that's it. The USDA will cut them off. And who are they spiting? The poor. The people that this wonderful organization is helping. What is wrong with this country? Where are we headed? I know where we're headed. I know what's wrong with this country. These are rhetorical questions, ladies and gentlemen. But here again, the USDA referred to an executive order providing equal protection for faith-based organizations. That order guarantees those groups the right to provide assistance without removing or altering religious art, icons, sculptures, or other symbols from these facilities. For the past 31 years, the Christian ministry has been providing food to the hungry in Lake City, Florida, without any problems. But all that changed when they said a state government worker showed up to negotiate a new contract. Welcome to the Obama nation. This is a man who gives out Christmas cards that have no reference to Christmas in it whatsoever, except snow on evergreen trees. And it's only going to get worse. When we come back, I want to rock and roll all night. KISS on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
Malzberg Show.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Syria's foreign minister now says his country is ready to accept a Russian deal to place Syria's chemical weapons under international control. Russia has floated the idea of Syria turning over all of its chemical weapons to the international community to avoid a military strike. Tuesday, Russia's parliament leaders said they support the plan as well. Even Iran says it supports the plan. A spokeswoman said today that Iran finds this, quote, to be within the framework of putting a halt to militarism in the region. Here's Assad's reaction to the plan during an interview with CBS News.
But for us in Syria, we have principles. We do anything to prevent the region from another crazy war. It's not only Syria. It's not about me. It's about the region. You cannot discuss it as Syria or as me. It should be as part, as a whole, as comprehensive.
Meanwhile, President Obama is set to lay out his case to the American people tonight for a U.S. military-led strike on Syria if it is still needed. And a source close to the White House says the president is ready to accept a UN discussion on that Russian plan. Still, the president has been on Capitol Hill today to personally push members of Congress just in case that resolution is needed, authorizing a military strike. Also last night, Mr. Obama used a series of interviews with TV news anchors to say that he was open to the idea of placing Syria's chemical weapons under international control. He also quoted President Reagan saying we should trust but verify the plan.
It is a potentially positive development. I don't think that we would have gotten to the point where they even put something out there publicly had it not been, and if it doesn't continue to be a credible military threat.
And Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has delayed a test vote on the resolution that was planned for tomorrow. He says he wants to work with Republicans to avoid an ugly filibuster. And police in Florida say George Zimmerman's estranged wife has now changed her story so they will not be filing domestic violence charges against him. Zimmerman is seen here talking with police Monday outside of the Florida home of his in-laws. Officers were questioning him after his estranged wife called 911 to report that her husband was threatening her with a gun and had punched her father in the nose. But hours later, she said she never saw a gun. Zimmerman's attorney says the fight was a result of the couple's ongoing divorce. And everybody's talking about Apple and its highly anticipated new iPhones. The tech giant unveils two new versions of its popular mobile device today, the high-end 5S and the less expensive 5C that's meant to compete with cheaper Android smartphones already on the market. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, a big win for Rafael Nadal at the U.S. Open. See where he now ranks among the all-time Grand Slam greats. Plus a Newsmax exclusive with Senator Ron Johnson, a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Hear what Congress is now saying about Russia's plan to avoid military action in Syria. Next.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
And welcome back. Rafael Nadal is the new U.S. Open men's tennis champion. The second-ranked player in the world defeated Novak Djokovic, the top-ranked player in the world, to win in 4 sets. This is Nadal's 13th Grand Slam title. That puts him third behind only Roger Federer and Pete Sampras. In Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, says during a Newsmax exclusive that this new plan floated by the Russians to place Syria's chemical weapons under international control is what the president should have been pushing for long ago.
Obviously, if you've got Russia at least talking, if not putting realistic pressure on the Assad regime to give up its chemical weapons stockpile, or at least to secure them, put those under international control, that certainly is going to deter the use.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, and for up-to-the-minute coverage of the Syrian crisis, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for September 10th. I'm John Bachman. Take care.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I believe that's what it's called. And that, of course, is the one and only KISS. And that, I believe, is from 1996 at the old Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Shout it out loud. And if you were watching, you saw, of course, Gene Simmons. And if you were listening, you heard Gene Simmons and the rest of KISS. And joining us right now is Gene Simmons of KISS. Hello, sir.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. It's my pleasure to talk to you.
It's a delight to talk to me.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Well, first of all, you were just in my neck of the woods, I believe, out in Ridgewood, New Jersey, at Bookends. Well, it was Bookends. I don't know. I think you did something there earlier this afternoon, and I know you've been all over.
My right hand is just like about to fall off. We just signed for, 1,500 fans. Just bang, 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 one right after the other, and tried to make everybody happy. But that's what you do, right, Steve?
Well, you know what? I don't sign. I'm usually around 1,200 fans, so I'm a little below you. But you see what you just said. What you just said, and that speaks to the book. Of course, the publication of the book, Nothing to Lose, of course, The Making of KISS, 1972 to 75, you and Paul Stanley. The fact that here we are, all these years later, and they're lining up, on an afternoon where people work and go to school, and 1,600 people are there, and you're signing autographs. What does that say to you?
They were more than that, but we just couldn't.
Right.
To get everybody, we're in the car now going to Staten Island.
Yep.
And we're going to be doing a signing there. A long time ago, and it's approaching 40 years since our first tour. A long time ago, we were, four knuckleheads off the street who had a dream to put together the band we never saw on stage. And, in those private moments when all of us pray, dear God, please give me a chance. If I ever get a chance, I'll never blow it and all that. So we promised ourselves we would never go, with our stacked heels, sort of highfalutin and thinking we're something special. Always make sure, anytime you meet a fan, hi, how are you? Thanks so much for coming down. Make them feel special, because at the end of the day, you, Steve, and us, KISS, and anybody else that's on stage works for the fans, because without the fans, we're nothing.
Absolutely.
So that's really what it's about. And Nothing to Lose is sort of a historical overview of the band, the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly, but not by us. Interviews by all sorts of people that were there. It's like at the scene of an accident. The person that's in the middle of the eye of the storm has one perspective, people around it have another. And it's stories and events and experiences of people that were actually instant along with us, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say if you think you knew KISS and you think you knew the genesis and the early days, I think it was Alice Cooper who was quoted as saying, you don't know anything until you read this book.
Yeah, Pretty much.
Yeah, so that pretty much sums it. But can I just be honest with you? I've always
No, you
taken.
can lie like everybody
All right,
else.
well, I'm not going to lie. I've always taken great pride in seeing you perform and looking at you and hearing you speak. I'm a proud Jew, and I know you were born in Israel, and I know you just recently returned to Israel.
You know what's interesting is I'm a proud Irishman, I'm a proud Catholic, I'm a proud Jew. When aliens land on this planet, they're going to think we're morons, because to them we're all human beings.
Well, and I'm an American first, but you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is your story, and I know that you've talked about your recent trip back to Israel, and I know that you supported George W. Bush, and we're like-minded politically on those kinds of issues. So that's what I'm saying here.
Well, in certain areas, I'm an American first. In certain areas, I will agree. Foreign policy, conservative fiscal program, I'm probably more on President Bush's side. I don't believe Democrats have done a good job of taking care of the economy. However, social areas and separation of church and state and gay rights and all that stuff, I have a problem with the right. So both parties hate me, and I'm not fond of either.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: if we could stray for just a little bit, what do you think of what's going on with Syria and the president's going to address the nation tonight? Will you watch something like that when he speaks tonight?
The more differences presidents think they are, the more alike they are. Because at the end of the day, every president has to defend America, and so here's a president that's been voted in by the masses, who's sending, unmanned drones across borders to do what he's supposed to do, which is to protect America. Presidents on the right and the left have done that. So, because you know what, Al-Qaeda doesn't care what party you're from. They just hate all of us.
That's right. Now, do you notice, do you watch MSNBC, Fox News? Do you find media bias? Do you find a difference? Is there something you like over the other?
I do. And if it wasn't for your show, Steve, there wouldn't be any fair and balanced news anywhere.
No, there really isn't any fair. Well, I'm paid to give an opinion, so I try to be, respectful to all my guests, except when it's impossible.
Well, one opinion you can't argue with is that Nothing to Lose is as good a book as there is. You can read it in your spare time when you sit on the pot. It's easy reading. You can pick it up and put it down at any point and never lose your place, because it comes in snippets, if you see what I mean.
When it comes to KISS, what was the key? If you could look back and say, this is what did it for us, this is what catapulted us to where we are, what we became, where we are now, what was it? That might be in the book, might not be in the book, but what was that one thing or moment or person or deed or what?
It's a solid question, and here's the answer as best I can put it. Good old-fashioned hard work. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. When we started, there was no MTV or VH1. There were no CDs, no DVDs, no XYZ, PTA, IOUs, no letters put together to mean something. Nobody used to say RSVP. Nobody said ADD. Nobody talked about letters. This is before even cassettes. There were only records, there were albums and singles. And what we did is we took our case to the people, the old-fashioned way, knocking on door after door and getting up on stage after stage and proving to people who and what we are. We earned our stripes. There's no television that just went, here's a free ride or here's a hit single. We didn't even do hit singles. So what made us big? The fans. How did we do it? Hard work. There's no easy answer. It's not like winning the lottery. We worked for it.
No, absolutely. And of course, we're talking to Gene Simmons of KISS here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let me ask you about the football team that you guys bought, the LA KISS.
Yes.
And Tim Tebow. And see, to me, Tim Tebow is maligned. The sports media hate him. They despise him because he's a good American Christian who believes in what he says. And they hate him. Yet, if he, in my opinion, if he brought a prayer rug with him and he was a Muslim and he prayed on the field or on the sidelines 5 times during a game, the media would say, "Oh my God, this is great." But because he's a Christian, they despise him. But you guys have made him an offer as of yesterday, a 3-year contract.
We are proud to make Tim Tebow an offer. He is considering, and I will tell you, I don't think anybody's going to complain about this. Whether the NFL is making all the right moves or not, we're not here to do that. We would be proud to have Tebow on the team. Prefer to have somebody who has a strong sense of country and self than somebody who tortures dogs and is an alleged murderer. So those guys aren't good for football. Tebow is good for football. He works hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So have you gotten any indication yet, any answer from him, or do you know about what the timeline is?
I'm not allowed to say yet, sir.
Okay, and were you surprised that New England cut him?
No, no comment until Tebow is part of our team. But I will tell you that there are 4 owners. There's myself, the ever-youthful Paul Stanley, who's sitting right behind me, so I've got to be nice. Doc McGee, who handles our tours, and Brett Bushy, who's been intrinsically involved with arena football since its inception. And we intend to take this football and give it spectacle. There's no long downs, none of that stuff. This is much more in-your-face offensive football, and it's for the whole family. So for those of you that tuned in late, how about this? $99 for a season ticket.
Wow.
Go to, it's nothing. It's lakissfootball.com, lakissfootball.com. $99, and you can go to all the games. And because we're grateful that you even paid us attention, KISS, with its entire bombastic show, will give you a free concert to all season ticket holders. And listen,
I thought you were talking to me, that you were going to get because of my attention.
Yes, it's all about you, Steve. The NFL is great, but I don't want to mortgage my house to buy a ticket.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
There's stuff that goes on there, the fights and the thing and drunks and stuff like that. Go down to your air-conditioned arena, see great football, affordable for everybody. Bring your kids. Perfect place.
All right, now let me ask you one more question, and before I let you go, and one final word about the book after that. Miley Cyrus, when you see that, I don't know how you would feel about that. What did you think? What's your opinion on what she did and the reaction to it?
If you believe in equal treatment under the law, then everybody's picking on her for the wrong thing. Either you condemn all the divas for sticking their tongues out and kissing the girls on things or showing boob or anything like that, or Miley's allowed to be Miley. You can't pick on her if you're going to allow Rihanna and Shmiana and Madonna and any girl who ends with an A to do what they do, because she's doing nothing different than all the rest of them.
What was the tongue? I thought she was ripping you off. What were you trying to?
That's fine. Everybody, listen, I would be sticking my tongue out most of the time, but usually the floor's dirty, so I've got to watch. You know what I mean, Steve.
I do know what you mean. So you know how hard I tried to get you to say something politically provocative so we could get all over Drudge and all over everywhere. I'll give you one final instance here. Someone told me you voted for Obama and you said it was a mistake. Is that true?
I do. I wanted to vote on the right side of history. I voted for our president twice.
Why the second time? Gene, why the second time? That has nothing to do with history anymore.
Because unfortunately, Governor Romney can't keep his foot out of his mouth. And part and parcel of being a world leader is being able to communicate. Ronald Reagan was a great communicator. And Governor Romney, although he was much more qualified than our president to be in the job, just couldn't put a sentence forward without turning everybody off.
Okay, if I had your email address, I would send you a compilation of Obama gaffes that the media will never go near. For instance, he's a big White Sox fan, right? He loves the White Sox. He's a South Side kid. He called it Comiskey Field instead of Comiskey Park. How could you make that mistake if you've ever heard of the White Sox? And the list goes on and on and on. He's as phony as a $2 bill, especially when it comes to sports.
Perhaps, but the masses win. The masses cast their vote for whatever reason. Look, people vote not just their conscience. They have a gut feeling about something. Few people know what the issues are, but
true.
Why you want to ask some guy that plays in a band what he thinks about politics is beyond me.
Well, because I think you have your head on straight. Hey, listen, it's been a pleasure and an honor, and the book, again, is Nothing to Lose, The Making of KISS, 1972 to 1975, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Thank you, sir. Really, I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. All right, folks, there you go. We do everything on this show. Whether it's KISS or whether it's, a senator or a governor or whatever, when we're going to continue, I'd love for you to weigh in on this interview. I had fun. I'd like to hear it back again, actually. 855-777-9660. But tell me, when he started saying, and because of your interest in the team, we're going to give you, and I'm thinking he's going to send me something. No, he's talking about the fans, the concert that they're going to have for season ticket holders out in L.A. That's a good deal. $99 season tickets, and you get a KISS concert to boot. Wow. Okay, but the book, Nothing to Lose. I have nothing to lose by telling you this is the Steve Malzberg Show, 855-777-9660 on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show. Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, we are back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Very interesting. I thought so anyway. Speaking to Gene Simmons here on the show. He's a character, and if you read what he said, first of all, his real name, everybody has a showbiz name. His real name was Chaim Witz, born in Haifa, Israel in 1949. And his mother was born in Hungary, and she and her brother were the two surviving family members from the Holocaust. So, that's why that's why I always said that I always had I identified with him a little bit more, and always felt that he stood out from the rest for his special circumstances and his political views. I mean, although he hesitated, he was willing to talk a little bit politically. And he worked in New York City in a variety of jobs, and also taught sixth grade in the Upper West Side, not too far from where I'm sitting, before his music career, of course, took off. And he actually returned to Israel, and that's what I was trying to get from him, and I can't find the quote, but he actually had a very moving return to his birthplace. Here it is, according to Wikipedia, for what it's worth. On March 2011, he visited his birthplace. He described the trip as a life-changing experience. He talked about how he still feels that he's an Israeli. I'm Israeli, I'm a stranger in America, I'm an outsider. While there, he met his half-brother and triplet half-sisters. Simmons said he plans to take his band to Israel, and he's always been an ardent supporter of Israel. And at the press conference there that he held, he spoke both Hebrew and English, which I think is pretty interesting as well. Okay, now back to the news of the day. Although he had some interesting things to say about Tebow, and be interesting to see if Tebow does sign with that team. Hey, they're talking millions of dollars. I mean, why not? Anyway, we're going to be joined by Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Don't forget, President Obama is still addressing the nation tonight, notwithstanding the fact that they are postponing the votes in the Senate and the House, at least the Senate, and they are, talking to Syria and Russia about transparency and opening up Syria's weapons, disclosing locations, halting production, putting Russia and the international community in charge of them. So we'll talk about all of that with Byron York when we continue right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Next hour, Todd Blackledge, the former NFL quarterback who led Penn State to a college title in 1982. On the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I'm not sure that we're ever going to get a majority of the American people after over a decade of war, after what happened in Iraq, to say that any military action, particularly in the Middle East, makes sense in the absence of some direct threat or attack against us. And that's understandable. If you talk to my own family members or Michelle's, they're very wary and suspicious of any action.
All right, so there you have it. Michelle and her family and Obama's family, they don't want any action against Syria. Neither do I, but I don't know how that's relevant. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Joining us now to talk about what Barack Obama might say tonight, what he might really mean tonight when he says what he says, because it's hardly ever the same, and what he might do going forward is our friend Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner, Fox News contributor. Hey, Byron, how are you?
Hi, Steve. It's good to be here.
Well, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. So, where do we go from here? I just saw something breaking on, I think, the Examiner website, if I'm not mistaken, that Putin now says the U.S. must call off the strike before any deal could be reached. So,
yeah, that seems to be the position that's emerging in Russia and in the Security Council, and maybe with France as well. And here's what I think has happened. I think Obama has dodged the problem he made for himself by vowing to go to Congress to seek authorization. It looked like he had really boxed himself in, but now they're putting off this vote because of these diplomatic efforts. So, okay, he's dodged that bullet for a little bit at least. The problem is something that he said on August 31st. When he comes out and announces that he's going to seek congressional authorization, he says, after careful deliberation, I have decided that the United States should take military action against Syrian regime targets. And he can't really, I think, sign on to any sort of deal in which, right at the beginning, he renounces this strategy that he's already said that he believes needs to be pursued, and he decided it after careful deliberation. So he's still in a box, I think.
Do you believe what's going on here? I mean, if we could take a step back, if we were looking at a kangaroo nation or something, or a banana republic, you might say, okay, but this is the United States of America. I don't think we should go near Syria. But you know what the president should have done? He should have threw the missiles in there in the first place, and that would have been the end of it.
Well, there was a lot of talk about that at the very beginning. That it's because other presidents have taken military actions without seeking the authorization of Congress. It's been done in the past. And if the president had come out and said, after this chemical warfare attack in Syria, and said, this is what I've decided to do, and 3 hours ago, forces of the United States began attacking military regime targets in Syria.
Right.
Some people would have yelled about it. I mean, there's no doubt.
Oh, I would have yelled about it, but at least we wouldn't have looked like what we look like.
But it would have been done, and you really wouldn't have had a lot of recourse, and it's not like they were going to impeach him over something like that. But then he gets in a situation where he promises to go ask for permission, and then it looks like he's not going to get it, and the question is he going to do it instead, which would be infinitely worse politically for him.
Absolutely. And then...
So, just nuts.
And then we come... Right, it is nuts. And then we come to the place we are now, and you wrote a great piece. I was not aware of Albert Brooks, the comedian, actor, who actually uttered a line on Twitter, I believe, that suggested a scenario, and that scenario has come to fruition partially as to where we are now in cooperation maybe between Russia and the U.S. Talk about that.
This is so crazy. Well, we were headed to this situation a few days ago. We're headed to this showdown in Congress. It looks like Obama's going to lose. The world is kind of looking at him. He's embarrassed. What's going on? It looks terrible. And on Friday night, Albert Brooks, who, I follow him on Twitter, he mostly just does one-liners, okay? He's a comedian.
Right,
Most
yeah.
of his Twitter feed is jokes. So he says, he sends out a tweet, and it says, Russia and the U.S. could unite for 1 week, go into Syria, remove the chemicals, and let them continue fighting. Okay, it's pretty funny. It's a joke.
And that's where we are.
It's exactly what happened. And so it's funny, yesterday, as all this was unfolding, Albert Brooks tweeted very dryly, he said, I believe I tweeted this last Friday.
Well, lucky for us, though, Byron, according to the president interviewed yesterday, and I played the soundbite earlier, he claims credit, kind of, because, I've talked about this for quite some time now with Vladimir Putin about this very scenario. And, of course, John Kerry, who was very plainly asked what could be done for Assad to stave off an attack, didn't come up with this and volunteer it. And then after he said, well, he could, give up his weapons, blah, 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 said, but it's impossible. Now he claims that he's been talking about it with his Russian counterpart.
Who knows what happens here? I mean, you're absolutely right. That's what happened. Kerry says it. I mean, he looked jet-lagged to me. I mean, he's an older man. He's flying across a million time zones, and he looked like, to me, just kind of, his tongue got away from him there for a little while.
Well, I think the French get jet-lagged before Americans, so that would explain that.
And the State Department basically treats it as if it had been kind of some sort of jet-lag gaffe.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the Russians see, I think they seized an opportunity. They jump on this, and Capitol Hill jumps on this. And then the president, he does all these interviews with Chris Wallace and the other network anchors, and the president says, I knew that. I talked about that with Putin, at the G20 a few days ago.
Right. I didn't draw the red line, but I talked about the solution with Putin.
Is this still? We don't know the provenance of all this. We absolutely don't know. I think we'll find out at some point. I mean, it's a lot of people were involved in this, so we'll find out maybe in the next few days. But it appears to be as wacky and as ad hoc and as ad-libbed as it appears.
Well, all right. Well, we're talking to Byron York, chief political correspondent, the Washington Examiner. But let me ask you this. We've heard that he has revamped his speech from what it might have been a couple of days ago. Yep. What the heck does he say tonight?
Well, he has to, because, I don't know what he was going to say before, but, I mean, before this whole diplomacy stuff happened, it appeared to be, his options were backing off or driving the car over the cliff. And, support on Capitol Hill was just drying up. I mean, there were just very, very few members of Democrats or Republicans coming out, to support the president. It looked like some of the whip counts had the people opposed to it in the 230 numbers in the House, which is enough to defeat the president. So, it looked like it was going to be some sort of persuasive effort. Now, I think the president will emphasize that he is cautiously, approaching this diplomatic effort, but he wants to give the world community time. But he maintains, the only reason this is happening
is because
of the credible threat of United States military force, and that threat is there and strong, and the United States must, be ready to attack if necessary. But, Congress, you don't have to vote on it tonight. Don't worry. So I think that's some version of what he's going to say.
Did you hear this cut? I just want to play it for you. He was on with Gwen Ifill. This will be 27, Will. He was on with Gwen Ifill, and this really struck me. And Gwen Ifill said, could Syria hurt us? Could they harm us or our allies? If we attack them? And here's what he said. And I got to ask you your reaction to this. Here's the cut.
His allies do, though. Iran, Hezbollah. They could carry out asymmetrical attacks against our embassies, for example, in the region. But we don't actually think that they want to do something like that. Keep in mind that Iran was the country probably last subjected to large-scale chemical weapons used by Saddam Hussein. So there's a real aversion to chemical weapons inside of Iran. I don't think either Iran or Hezbollah thought that what Assad did was a good idea. And for us to take a limited, proportional, although significant strike on Assad's capabilities to degrade them, I don't think would prompt them to get involved.
All right. In other words, he's saying, hey, you know what? Hezbollah and the Ayatollahs in Iran, they're human. They have humanity. They saw what Assad did. They don't think it was that great. And Iran was once victimized themselves. So I don't think they're going to do anything to get back at us. They're not that. They're pretty decent people. I mean, I was floored.
Yeah, it's funny when someone comes to a conclusion that you agree with, in part, which I don't think that the United States has to do something in Syria as a signal to Iran, but he comes at it through such an incredibly naive way of thinking, which is really astonishing. It seems to me that all the talk about Iran, I just don't think Iran would be deterred by whether the president does or does not do something about Assad's use of chemical weapons. It seems to me that Iran would be deterred by what we should be doing now to Iran, which is sanctions that really cripple, and we are doing a lot of sanctions, although belatedly, sanctions that really cripple. We should be sabotaging their nuclear program, a la the Stuxnet virus, which was incredibly successful for a while. And, let's face it, sometimes key players in the Iranian program might have an accident or two somewhere.
Like when a motorcycle pulls up to their car and a magnetic bomb is put on it and kapoo.
It's just things like this happen occasionally.
Yeah.
And so that's the way it seems to me. I hope nobody wants to go to war with Iran. I mean, we don't need to go to war with Iran. We need to keep them from getting a nuclear weapon. And if you can do it through those methods, I think that's the way to do it. And that's what we should be doing and are doing now. And it doesn't have anything to do with any signal that might be sent or what we do or do not do in Syria. It's actual Iranian policy.
Right. Now, I think your word naive is the same exact said. I've never heard such a naive statement from a president, even in Obama's long list of statements. I mean, to say, basically, I put my faith in Hezbollah and Iran. They won't do anything because they weren't crazy about what Assad did. I can't even fathom that line of thinking.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, hey, Byron, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Good
Take
to be
care.
here.
Thank you. Byron York, ladies and gentlemen, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. And again, the latest, and we will talk to Senator John Hoeven about this from North Dakota a little bit later on. Putin now saying that there could only be a deal with regard to Syria's dissolving or disclosing the locations of their chemical weapons, halting production, opening them up, if the U.S. calls off a strike first. So that could be a monkey wrench into this whole scenario. But again, like we were talking about with Byron, is this not the nuttiest thing you ever saw? Look, I would not have supported Barack Obama firing a missile into Syria, but you know the way America should have done it and should have handled this? If that was the resolve of the President of the United States, he should have announced to us 3 hours ago, on my order, American cruise missiles were launched into blah, 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 because that was the red line that I set, and that was the red line that was crossed. Bye-bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Instead, we'll do it. We won't do it. There's a red line. There's no red line. Let's do that. Are you kidding me? Is this like a new country and we're trying to find out how to do things? How do we look to the world, to our enemies, as this continues to progress and change, and speeches and announcements and press conferences and accidental solutions? Wow. Anyway, all right, we're coming back. We have Dave we'll get to, and anyone else who wants to weigh in, as they say. 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. That's the toll-free number, no matter where you're watching or how you're listening to the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. 855-777-9660 if you want to participate. And let's start the participation. We have Dave in Colorado. Hello, Dave. Thanks for weighing in, sir.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Hey, gosh, you know, we're going to miss you here on Sirius XM, I got to tell you. But anyway, listen, I called for a couple of reasons. One, I want to kind of call you to task. You know, I don't understand. We're both conservative libertarians, but we keep coming up on different sides of the issue. You know, why are you so critical of Obama?
Well, first of all, I might not be as much of a libertarian as you think or as you are. Why am I so critical of Obama with regards to what?
Well, I mean, after all, he said he was in a closed Guantanamo, and never mind. That's right. He didn't close them. And, well, you know.
Well, of course, I don't want Guantanamo closed. Do you?
Well, I mean, but he also said that, you know, he wasn't going to raise taxes by even 10 cents if you made less than $250K. And never mind.
So you mean, Dave, you found something we could agree on finally?
Oh, wait a minute. He said he was going to hold people in the IRS scandal responsible, and gosh, they got promoted, didn't they? Doggone it. I know there's one here somewhere. The NSA stooping is more perception than reality, right? Oh, no, that's not it. Good grief. I don't know. I got Benghazi. There's a good one. He's going to get to the bottom of that, right? And
he's working on it. He's working on it.
Shoulder-fired missiles.
Don't forget. He got Osama bin Laden, so he'll get these guys.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen. Actually, the reason I'm calling is about Syria, and you know, the Syria thing, in my view, is just a big pretense. And once again, this administration and certainly the ones prior to it have you know, they have the history of leading America around by their noses on this kind of thing, especially when it comes to war. But this Syria thing is just a pretense, I believe. I believe it's a reason to get Iran on the hook, and it's all about Iran. I don't think Syria has anything to do with anything.
Well, then why don't we just bomb Iran? Why do we need a reason? In other words, they've commit, you know, their inflammatory statements against the West, against us, and against Israel are constant. They've announced that they've continued with their centrifuges. They've announced that they are very close. So everything they say, if you want to use it against them and say, here's what the regime themselves have said, here's what Israeli intelligence shows, here's what our intelligence shows, and then go bomb them. Why do we need to? How is going into Syria going to lead to us bombing Iran?
Well, it's making the case. You know, we're not going to invade Iran. That would just
no. I don't want to invade Iran, but we should use bunker busters or whatever they need to get down and disrupt or eliminate their nuclear facilities.
Their nuclear capability. I agree 100%, but we're not going to do a preemptive strike on Iran. We're going to use Syria as an excuse. And by invading Syria under the pretense that we're doing the world a favor by eliminating their chemical biological weapons, that's going to that's going to cause Syria and probably Iran to react.
Oh, I see what you're saying, or Hezbollah. Yeah. Okay, all right. So we're egging them on. We're trying to egg. I got you. All right, you know what?
I think it's just all positioning for America to be the good guy and save the world. You know, if you remember Libya, they said we're going to just set up a no-fly zone. Well, that didn't work out too well.
Listen, I would love to continue this conversation, Dave, but I got to go watch the White Sox play at good old Comiskey Field, and then I'm going to watch a videotape of the Miami Heats winning the world's title twice in a row. And then I'm going to, let's see, what else did he do? Then I'm going to go and do an interview where I'm asked to name some of my favorite White Sox players, and I'm going to reveal to the world that I was actually an A's fan growing up, but I can't name any of those players either. And then I'm going to tell everyone how I've been to all 57 states and how if a girl can't breathe, you bring it to the emergency room and get her a breathalyzer. I'm just going to go on a roll, okay? So I got to go.
Good enough. Don't forget about the corpse band.
The what?
The corpse band.
The corpse, yes, and on Memorial Day, how I once saw many of our fallen heroes in attendance right there while I was speaking. Yeah, no, he's the smartest man in the world. I thank you, though, Dave, for the call. Thank you very much. Finally, Dave and I agree on something. Anyway, I just bring that up because he brought it up. But it's funny, when we were talking to Gene Simmons of KISS, he talked about how Romney couldn't put a sentence together. I don't agree that Romney couldn't put a sentence together, to be honest with you. I think he ignored many issues that he should have, gone after. I don't think he hit hard enough. I don't think he expressed himself well necessarily on everything, and he didn't fight back in the media. But I don't think, anybody really called him illiterate or unable to put a sentence together. So I'm not sure about that claim by Gene Simmons. Okay. So anyway, here's where we are. We're going to be able to talk with Senator John Hoeven, Todd Blackledge, who led Penn State. Oh, here's another one. The Nittany Lions. The Nittany Lions. N-I-T-T or one T, with then an N. Nittany, not Nittany. Nittany. Of course, Barack Obama has called them the Nittany, like Italy, the Nittany Lions. But hey, he's a busy man. It's tough being the smartest man in the room everywhere you go, no matter where in the world you are. Whereas George Bush, he was a blithering idiot, and don't you forget it. Just ask the media. All right, folks, we're coming back. Steve Malzberg, glad you're aboard. The Steve Malzberg Show right here, and I mean right here, on Newsmax TV and, of course, radio. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming. The shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now, 800-634-0482.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Syria's foreign minister now says his country is ready to accept a Russian deal to place Syria's chemical weapons under international control. Russia has floated the idea of Syria turning over all of its chemical weapons to the international community to avoid a military strike. Tuesday, Russia's parliament leaders said they support the plan as well. Even Iran says it supports the plan. A spokeswoman said today that Iran finds this, quote, to be within the framework of putting a halt to militarism in the region. Here's Assad's reaction to the plan during an interview with CBS News.
But for us in Syria, we have principles. We do anything to prevent the region from another crazy war. It's not only Syria. It's not about me. It's about the region. You cannot discuss it as Syria or as me. It should be as part, as a whole, as comprehensive.
Meanwhile, President Obama is set to lay out his case to the American people tonight for a U.S. military-led strike on Syria if it is still needed. And a source close to the White House says the president is ready to accept a UN discussion on that Russian plan. Still, the president has been on Capitol Hill today to personally push members of Congress just in case that resolution is needed, authorizing a military strike. Also last night, Mr. Obama used a series of interviews with TV news anchors to say that he was open to the idea of placing Syria's chemical weapons under international control. He also quoted President Reagan saying we should trust but verify the plan.
It is a potentially positive development. I don't think that we would have gotten to the point where they even put something out there publicly had it not been, and if it doesn't continue to be a credible military threat.
And Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has delayed a test vote on the resolution that was planned for tomorrow. He says he wants to work with Republicans to avoid an ugly filibuster. And police in Florida say George Zimmerman's estranged wife has now changed her story so they will not be filing domestic violence charges against him. Zimmerman is seen here talking with police Monday outside of the Florida home of his in-laws. Officers were questioning him after his estranged wife called 911 to report that her husband was threatening her with a gun and had punched her father in the nose. But hours later, she said she never saw a gun. Zimmerman's attorney says the fight was a result of the couple's ongoing divorce. And everybody's talking about Apple and its highly anticipated new iPhones. The tech giant unveils two new versions of its popular mobile device today, the high-end 5S and the less expensive 5C that's meant to compete with cheaper Android smartphones already on the market. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, a big win for Rafael Nadal at the U.S. Open. See where he now ranks among the all-time Grand Slam greats. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Senator Ron Johnson, a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Hear what Congress is now saying about Russia's plan to avoid military action in Syria. Next.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
And welcome back. Rafael Nadal is the new U.S. Open men's tennis champion. The second-ranked player in the world defeated Novak Djokovic, the top-ranked player in the world, to win in 4 sets. This is Nadal's 13th Grand Slam title. That puts him third behind only Roger Federer and Pete Sampras. In Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, says during a Newsmax exclusive that this new plan floated by the Russians to place Syria's chemical weapons under international control is what the president should have been pushing for long ago.
Obviously, if you've got Russia at least talking, if not putting realistic pressure on the Assad regime to give up its chemical weapons stockpile, or at least to secure them, put those under international control, that certainly is going to deter the use.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, and for up-to-the-minute coverage of the Syrian crisis, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for September 10th. I'm John Bachman. Take care.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
A 62-year-old man who was brutally assaulted in Union Square in a random attack has died. According to authorities, last Wednesday, 31-year-old LaShawn Martin began shouting that he hated white people. He proceeded to punch victim Jeffrey Babbitt in the face so hard it caused him to fall and strike his head on the ground. Babbitt ended up in a coma and died Monday. Martin also assaulted 2 other men who came to Babbitt's aid during this shocking attack. He was later arrested and charged with assault. Charges are expected to be upgraded.
All right, folks, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. That horrific story has gone virtually unnoticed, certainly when it comes to the national media, and virtually unnoticed even locally. Hour number 3 of the Steve Malzberg Show. We have a lot ahead in this hour. Todd Blackledge, former Penn State quarterback who led his team to a national championship, also 7 years, I think, in the NFL. He'll join us. You see him on ESPN now doing college football. We'll be joined also by U.S. Senator John Hoeven, North Dakota Republican, and also Neil McCluskey. We'll talk about the Common Core State Standard Initiative for Education. And this is causing a lot of concerns, this core curriculum that the federal government is trying to push off on states. So all that's straight ahead. But this story, can you imagine if this had been a white man shouting, "I hate black people," in New York City, in Union Square, which is down around 14th Street in New York City in Manhattan. It's a very populated area at all times, lots going on, and it was populated at this time. And this thug pushes a 62-year-old man, punches him in the face. He goes down. He hits his head on the sidewalk. He lapses into a coma. He dies. And let's put up the picture, 18, for those watching at Newsmax TV. We have a picture of a Brooklyn resident, Jeffrey Babbitt, who died at Bellevue Hospital after this unprovoked attack. And LaShawn Martin, 31 years old, who's black, made statements to the effect, "I'm going to punch the first white man I see." This according to NYPD Commissioner Ray Kelly. After punching Babbitt, he allegedly attacked 2 other men who came to Babbitt's aid. And police are saying they're investigating this as a possible hate crime. What does that mean, a possible hate crime? Not only that, why do we have a hate crime? Do you mean to tell me, now this guy's going to be charged with some kind of murder, not manslaughter, murder, whatever the heck, right? So whatever he's charged with, we have a dead man, okay? I don't care that he was picked and punched and he's dead because he's white. Does that mean that LaShawn Martin should be punished more severely for this death? than if he just went up to the guy and punched him and same thing. He fell, he hit his head, he died. But because the perpetrator said, I hate all white people, I'm going to find the first white person I see and hit him, that means he should be punished more severely. Let me turn it around the other way. Should somebody who doesn't say, I hate you because you're black or white, and then kill someone, be punished less severely? Still got the dead person. Than someone who kills someone the same exact way, but starts it by saying, I hate you because you're black or I hate you because you're white. I didn't mean to make this a monologue about hate crime laws, but that's how stupid hate crime laws are. But nonetheless, this story, according to our friend Noel Shepard of Newsbusters, he wrote a piece last Saturday, and he asked, will the media report that this man had become brain dead as a result of an unprovoked attack by a man saying, I hate white people? And he said, as of Monday, with the exception of local New York coverage, the answer was no. An analysis of Google News, LexisNexis, and closed caption transcripts found absolutely no national reporting of this story. Not any. You tell me why. Now, there's another story out of New York. And I could go around the country and read you these stories. This is a story today from the New York Post. An attacker pummeled a bus passenger so hard he smashed the bones of his face after calling the victim a cracker. Not a creepy-ass cracker. But nonetheless, there was some whoop-ass. I wish I had that thing set up right now. I don't. Yeah, we were told cracker. That's a term of endearment. There's nothing wrong with cracker. That's not racist. Where did we hear that before? Yeah, creepy-ass cracker. Whoop-ass. So, this is 2 days after the tirade against the 63-year-old man who was killed. In the latest incident, the suspect passed a 31-year-old white rider on the M60 bus riding through Harlem on West 127th Street around 2:45 in the afternoon on Friday when he shouted the racial slur cracker and punched the victim in the face, breaking his nose and eye socket. The victim was treated and released. What's going on here? What's going on here? And why aren't these national stories? One guy's dead. I know it's not as glamorous as a kid with Skittles and iced tea, minding his own business, being brutally hunted down and profiled simply because he was black and shot in cold blood, probably in the back, even though forensics looked like it was in the front. I know it's not as romantic as that. I know there's no need or room for Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson to get involved in this case because the victims are white. But nonetheless, is it not newsworthy beyond the locality from where it occurred, from where it took place? It's really, really sickening is what it is. And then there's this. How do you like this? Can we put up cut 4, which is a picture? I'll explain it to you folks listening on the radio. What you see here is a headline from HuffPo. HuffPo's headline, finally, a show without all those white guys getting in the way. And they have a picture, an old picture of Tom Brokaw, Bill Moyers, and Bill Lair. I think it's Lair. Let's see. Yeah, it's Lair, Moyers, Lair, Jim Lair, Bill Moyers, and Tom Brokaw. Okay, finally, a show without all those old white guys getting in the way. And the Huffington Post, they were applauding. They wrote an article applauding PBS for no longer having any white males anchoring the news hour. Isn't that great? Yeah, hey, let's hear it for that. That's wonderful. Thank you, PBS. I just wish, hope, and pray that all major news outlets follow suit. Because who needs those evil white males? I told you months ago, months and months ago. I know the show's been on 7 months, but I told you from the get-go when they were talking about Susan Rice and all that and lying before Congress. And then when Lindsey Graham or John McCain or white Republican senators would complain, they'd say, oh, the optics of old white males. You know, complaining about a black woman, that's not good optics. Old white guys. And old white guys is now a derogatory term and an accepted derogatory term. In other words, it's not racist. You could use it if you're on the left. You could use it against the Republican Party. You could use it against any white guy who's Republican. And they love it. And if you're at HuffPost or HuffPo, you could put up a vulgar, racist, bigoted headline, and I'm sure all your readers will love it. Imagine a headline on any site, conservative especially, that said, finally, a show without all those black guys getting in the way. For how many years do you think we'd be talking about that nonstop? But this, have you heard it anywhere else? I didn't know about it except my friend Noel Shepard, our friend Noel Shepard, who will be on this show this week on Thursday in the first hour. It's sick. It is scary and sick. We're coming back. We're going to talk a little education right here. Steve Malzberg on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
Just how much influence will the federal government have over your child's education, grades K through 12? Joining us now to talk about this and what it will mean is Neil McCluskey, Ph.D., and he's Associate Director of the Center for Educational Freedom at the Cato Institute. Hello, Neil. How are you?
All right. Yourself?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. I forget what show I saw you discussing this on, but I said, oh, my God. And I have a son. You know, he's now in 8th grade, I guess, and but this is just, to me, very troubling. And we're talking about a National Common Core curriculum, which I guess states are enticed to sign on to because the federal government dangles funding of sorts in front of them, and then they sign on. What is this all about?
Well, so there's a big debate whether we're talking about standards or curriculum. We'll get to that in a second. What we know for sure is there's something called the Common Core Standards. They're in math and English language arts, and they were created by the National Governors Association and the Council of Chief State School Officers, along with a group called Achieve, which the National Governors Association created. Now, these things came out, or they were announced they're going to come out in 2009. Took about a year to come out with a final draft. And in that time, we had the stimulus, the federal government stimulus. And part of the stimulus was something called the Race to the Top Fund, which was $4.35 billion. And the federal government said to states, look, you're going to compete for this. And if you want to be fully competitive, you have to sign on for multi-state standards. And they knew full well there was only one set of these, and that was the Common Core. So that's what got most states, at the very least, to rush adoption without even, in many cases, seeing the final product. And then the next thing that pulled them in even farther is if a state wanted to get waivers from the No Child Left Behind Act, which just about everybody agrees is a failure, it's bureaucratic, it's heavy red tape, and it doesn't make sense, then you also, for de facto, had to sign on to the Common Core. You had one other option. Most states had already said they would adopt these things on the Race to the Top, and this has now pulled them in so they can't get out.
All right. So what does that mean? What will we see, do you believe, as a result of this? Now, this is just starting, correct?
Right. So most states signed on in 2010, but they don't need to have it, or they're not supposed to have it up and running until this school year, 2013-2014. That's why most people didn't hear anything about the Common Core, even though most states were talking about adopting it in 2009 and did it very quickly in 2010 without any real debate. Nobody had heard about it, not just because they did it quickly, but because it's just now hitting school districts in the implementation. Really about 6 to 9 months ago it started hitting school districts, and people suddenly said, what is this? Where did this come from, and why is the federal government so heavily behind it? Where the rubber's really going to hit the road is that the federal government also selected 2 groups to write tests to go with these national standards and paid for those tests. Those are supposed to come into effect in the next school year, 2014-2015. Right. And what's on those tests will dictate what the curriculum is, because those tests are what schools and teachers and students will be assessed on.
So what, for instance, is the National Council of Teachers on Mathematics? I mean, for instance, they're going to be involved in this, in the math portion of this, correct?
Well, so a lot of groups were consulted as part of the NGA and CCSSO creating these standards. But the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, they're not in charge of these things. National Council of Teachers of English, no professional group is in charge other than the NGA and CCSSO created them, and they actually have copyrighted these things. And really nobody has control over them other than the NGA and
And who are, just for, explain to me again and to everybody else, who are these people that then have the control? I mean, what are they? Are they, could we fear that they have an agenda, a political agenda? I mean, who are they?
Yeah, well, who are they is a good question. All we know are that the groups that are in charge are the National Governors Association, which is like a professional association of governors. No governor really cares very much what happens at the NGA because it doesn't do anything concrete.
Right.
It's not like it can pass laws.
Right.
And then the Council of Chief State School Officers are like state superintendents. And they were sort of the umbrella organizations in charge of this. But now it's very clear that the federal government was driving the train of getting states to adopt it. And nobody who even supports the Common Core is willing to say who should govern these things, be in charge of them from here on. And there's a reason for that. Because none of them trust states to do the right thing, but they're afraid to say that the federal government should do it, even though the federal government's the only entity that could dictate to states how they run their system.
It just seems like it's bizarre, and we don't know what's going to be unveiled here, and we don't know how it's going to affect our school system. And, of course, our school system is broken.
Yeah, and it's broken because the way we've delivered education is through a public schooling monopoly, where the government doesn't just provide the funds to make sure people can access education, it provides the schools. And monopolies generally don't work. They really don't work when you have to pay for them through your taxes. And all that national standards are doing is saying, look, instead of having these 50 state monopolies, which are not doing a good job, everybody agrees with that, they said the solution is really to have one monopoly set of standards that really the federal government makes every state use, which doesn't do anything to fix the fundamental problem with government monopolies, which is that politics governs them, and the people with the most motivation to be involved in education politics are the people whose livelihoods come from it, the teachers' unions, the administrators, and those are the people you're trying to hold accountable. So you're really saying, here, you hold yourselves accountable, which people naturally don't want to do.
Absolutely. All right. Fascinating, Neil. We'll keep a close eye on this. Neil McCluskey, Associate Director of the Center for Educational Freedom at the Cato Institute. Thanks for talking with us, sir.
My pleasure.
Take care. All right. So here we go. Now something else to look out for, something else to keep an eye on. That's why those of you watching, I rub my eye because something to keep an eye on. Get it? But it's not a wiener joke. Oh, wiener. We have some wiener cuts, so I don't know if we're going to get to them today. If we don't, we'll get to them tomorrow because the mayoral primaries are in New York City today. Last count, Wiener had like 7% of the vote, so he's done, although the other day he said, I'm going to be the next mayor of New York City. I don't know how he's going to accomplish that, but that's what he said. Anyway, we'll bring you up to date on that later in the week. But when we come back, we're going to talk with Todd Blackledge right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network. a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And what's that? Oh, okay. Coming in 3, 2. Some football. I can't do that. And joining us now is former Penn State starting quarterback Todd Blackledge. He spent 7 seasons in the NFL as well. Led the Nittany Lions, a President Obama, that's Nittany, not Nittany Lions, to the to the college football championship back in 1982. And of course, you see him on ESPN. Hey, Todd, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Great to talk to you. All right. So those of us who watch you on ESPN, college football analyst, Saturday night primetime games. We were familiar with your segment, Taste of the Town. You started that about 6 years or so ago. You go to restaurants in the area of the game that you're playing, and now you got it out in a book.
Yeah. It's just kind of a natural progression. The segment, when we started it in 2007, I thought it was a good idea. I didn't have any idea it would take off the way that it did, but after about 3 or 4 weeks, the thing just had enormous popularity. We really struck a chord with fans, and what I learned through this is that there's just such a close association between food and football in the college atmosphere, and whether it's tailgate, whether it's the restaurant you want to go to before or after the game, or where you went when you were going to school there, or where your dad took you when you went to a game, whatever it is, it's undeniable. And so the segment has been hugely popular, and the book gives us an opportunity to expand on the stories, because when we do the segment, it's 40 or 45 seconds,
right,
and then we're back to the game.
Made for TV, right, yeah.
So the book gives us a chance to expand on the stories, and then in addition to that, it's a cookbook, first and foremost. We have over 100 recipes from chefs and restaurants all around the country. So it's got a little bit of something for everybody.
Man, you've always had the best of both worlds ever since you've been doing this. I mean, going to these games, doing the games, and then checking out the food as well. So it's Taste of the Town, a guided tour of college football's best places to eat. And it's Todd Blackledge. All right, now we'll get back to that in a second. Let me start asking you some questions here. The first week under our belts in the NFL, I'm sure you still keep abreast of what's going on in the NFL. Anything that struck you? Anything that struck you from the quarterback position in particular? I mean, Peyton Manning was just on fire. 7 touchdown passes without an interception. I think only he and Y.A. Tittle have ever done that now.
Yeah, he was very impressive, and I love Peyton. I mean, I loved covering him in college. I just love the way he carries himself, the way he takes care of his business, the way he presents himself, and so happy for him. You know, I think some people were still questioning, you know, at 37 years of age, has the game passed him up at all? You know, was he going to get the strength back that he needed to play at the level that we've, you know, kind of are accustomed to him playing at? And, boy, I sure thought that first week he was super impressive. So that really stood out to me. I was having fun last night watching the Philadelphia Eagles and watching Chip Kelly's offense and how that translated from his success at Oregon to the NFL. And, you know, that pace that they had last night, they gained over 300 yards in the first half alone, even though they didn't capitalize on some of the opportunities to really blow that game open early. They hung on for the win, and I think he certainly served notice to the rest of the NFL that, you know, he knows a little bit more about football than just playing fast.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in that vein, RG3, of course, first game back after the injury, he struggled. What do you make of his return?
Well, I think everybody expected some rust. You know, even for professional athletes, if you don't play in the preseason, if you just practice and you don't have any game action and you've been out as long as somebody like RG3, you know, that's normal. That's acceptable. I mean, that's expected, I should say. You know, that there's going to be a little rust and a little bit of pressing and wanting to make big plays and wanting to prove that you're back. And I think, you know, even though I don't know if he even said anything about this after the game or not, I'm sure there's some, you know, where he's testing himself physically and just making sure that he feels okay and making sure that he's comfortable. And a lot of that will get better as he continues to play.
Now, let me give you one more here. Tim Tebow. He's apparently has been offered a contract with the American Football League, the team owned by KISS, who we spoke to. We spoke to 2 members of KISS, Gene Simmons, earlier in the show. But Tebow. Talk about Tebow. I mean, we only have about 2 minutes left, but here's a guy, you know, who with Denver did some miraculous things, in college did some wonderful things, and now he's, you know, looking for a job.
Yeah. Well, he's looking for a job, and, you know, here's the thing. Whether Tim Tebow ever makes it as an NFL quarterback or not, I'm a huge fan of Tim Tebow, and I'll tell you a quick story. When he was a senior at Florida, and I was covering a game, Mississippi State. He was playing at Mississippi State against his former coordinator, Dan Mullen, who's a coach at Mississippi State. And I have 4 boys, and my youngest son, Owen, is a huge Tim Tebow fan. And he knew that, and I talked to him the night before and showed him a picture of Owen wearing his jersey. And the next day, he came out before the game, an hour before the game, and I was on the field watching pregame. And he came running over to me, and he handed me something, and he said, "Here, this is the wristband, the play wristband that I wore in the Tennessee game this year."
Wow.
And he had signed it to Owen. God bless Tim Tebow.
That's the kind of person he is.
He is.
That
you
is.
know what? He's a guy who very seldom do you meet in the world that I live in sports, people that think outside of themselves the way Tim Tebow does all the time. So, huge fan of mine.
Todd, should he change positions to get back in the NFL, or should he go to this AFL?
You know, I don't know. I think he'll still get another shot because, you know, he does have intangibles and he is a great teammate. But it's just going to be up to him. You know, I think he still wants to be a quarterback. You know, there's other guys like that. I covered Colin Klein last year from Kansas State.
Right.
And Colin Klein didn't get drafted at all. And I think he still has dreams and aspirations of playing. And until a guy decides, okay, I don't want to be a quarterback anymore, I just want to play and be a part of the game, you know, that's only a decision they can make.
Todd Blackledge, the book Taste of the Town, a guided tour of college football's best places to eat. Good luck with this, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Take care. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Todd Blackledge. Great guy. Enjoy watching him on ESPN doing the football games. And I guess I'm going to have to eat some of those recipes because you can't get to all the places unless you travel around like him, right? Anyway, and it's a very nice story that he had to tell us about his son and Tim Tebow when Tebow was playing in college. And look, and here's something. Do you know that Todd Blackledge was drafted in the same draft as John Elway and Dan Marino? He was drafted after Elway and before Dan Marino. How's that for a quarterback-heavy draft? All right. Was Ken O'Brien in that one also? Ken O'Brien, who the Jets took. I think they took O'Brien before Marino, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, we're going to come back, and we're going to be joined by Senator John Hoeven, Republican, North Dakota, to talk about the latest on the Syrian situation. So don't go away, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message, because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
He could turn over every single bit of his chemical weapons to the international community in the next week. Turn it over, all of it, without delay, and allow a full and total accounting for that. But he isn't about to do it, and it can't be done, obviously.
All right. Can't be done. Will it be done? That was John Kerry yesterday with the accidental statement, I guess. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show, is United States Senator John Hoeven from the great state of North Dakota, Republican. Hello, Senator. How are you?
Good, Steve. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Okay, so the latest is, of course, that Syria says they're ready to dissolve their, disclose their weapons, chemical weapons locations, halt production, open facilities. But Putin says that the U.S. must first call off the strike of any kind before a deal could be worked out. Where do you believe we are with this, sir?
Well, I don't support a military strike in Syria, and I don't think that Congress does at this point because the American people don't.
Right.
So I think we've got to work on this diplomatically in a sensible way, but we've got to have an approach where people understand what that approach is, that it's consistent, and where we get our allies and other countries in the region working with us, so we're doing this together in a coherent way with clear objectives. And that's what the administration has to do, which they haven't done to this point.
Yeah, and going forward, though, how do you believe they should handle it? You know, the United Nations, the president has said they'll work through the United Nations on forming this, seeing this proposal through. But that the UN just canceled their emergency Syria meeting at the request of Russia. It just seems, you know, as I've discussed with others today, that this is, you know, it's just haphazard, and it's, you know, throw the papers up in the air and see which way they blow.
Well, and that's the problem. Again, it's about having a coherent strategy, and I have concerns about, I think a lot of us do, but what about having a well-thought-out, consistent strategy where we stand with our allies, everybody understands what we're trying to do, we take a tough line with our opponents, and we're consistent and have it well thought out rather than this kind of back and forth, what's going to come up today or what's going to come up tomorrow. And I think that's the problem, and I think that's why very clearly at this point are saying, no, don't undertake a military strike. Work this thing through with our allies and other countries and have a coherent strategy. And that's what the administration has got to do, and they haven't done it.
Well, what do you expect from the president tonight? I mean, I expect him to say that if it weren't for me threatening to use force, this possible option or this possible way out would never have come to fruition. I think he'll claim credit.
Yeah, I think that that's right. And, you know, yes, I would expect he'll say that. But what he needs to do now is follow through and, again, work with other countries to make sure that we push to get Syria to give up chemical weapons. I think there's a lot we can do in terms of sanctions. But I think that, you know, he's going to continue to build the case for a military strike. And I just don't think the American people or Congress are going to agree to a unilateral strike on Syria by the United States, in essence, going it alone.
Now, Senator, before we heard there was a beep when you said you don't trust or have trouble trusting Russia, you said. Is that what you said?
Well, I think we obviously have to be very careful with Russia and with Putin. Now, look, if they're going to work with us and others to, in essence, get Syria to give up its chemical weapons in some verifiable way, obviously we should do that. But I think we have to be very careful about Russia and exactly what their motives are and how we go about this.
Right. Now, I don't want to strike. I don't think we have any business in Syria. But having said that,